But we did.
What did you do? Fall?
Something like it's already working.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious,
I
you-
felt like it.
It's
Yesterday.
legit.
Oh, man, did I,
Oh,
that
yeah,
right
I
there,
had-
yeah. You can bring it on.
Okay.
Just all concrete or something?
Yeah, I did, I filmed it in the garage.
Oh, what'd you do that for?
I like pain, I don't know, it just happened.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
Just, I guess I thought there was an extra step down there, and it wasn't.
Ruffle the feathers.
I was getting my lawn chair out and my.
You gonna be there?
I'll be there.
And I asked Gary to look at it today.
Here's that
He
notice,
said something else.
actually out there, but if I
Because
didn't
it
want to
keeps
see it.
popping out of the things here in the back.
I posted the one in
Anyway,
town
Oh, wow.
hall.
More or less.
Never else got it.
One of you guys want this DLC one, so they can make, you can make the motion.
That's one of my questions.
I hate to lose it.
Watch it on my car.
Why did you not bring that?
Okay.
It wasn't a trip, it was a business.
There's the garage for Brad.
Grandchildren, something.
I added this to the agenda.
They take.
Just as, well, we just need to clarify, so we can, that's
They
good.
love it.
I am Brad.
So have I.
I think we're on the same page.
So I asked him to bring us copies.
I would have said good morning right back when I thought they about it. I just, fair enough.
She said, just good day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Man, so it sounds like your mower died, it's not. Oh, the guy that mows for me out
Yeah.
at the cemetery, I found a full-time job, and I'm glad for him, but it's just getting started, so.
Normal, you're not. I don't know, I just don't like them.
Yeah, that did sound like it, my mower, it totally sounded like it.
Made all those copies, and I don't have it.
Really?
And I need to know.
Oh, my goodness.
It's on your shoulders.
So Brad could take it all the time.
Well, the shorter the better.
Obviously, you can't amend it or anything.
How's Billy?
He's sleeping right now, snuck out.
You snuck out from him? And he didn't hear you? And he didn't wake up? Go, Dad, where you going?
Oh, he would if he knew. I have a couple of routines that
Oh,
keep him guessing.
you throw him off? Does he snore? Harper does too. And I, one night she was just snoring up along, and I took her head and I tilted it up to do this to him. Tilt his head. No, he didn't.
He yells at the squirrels and he does.
I thought there was some in that drawer,
Like
but
if
I'm
he's
not
laying
seeing
beside you,
it.
just take his head and move it up.
How long?
Huh?
He goes in between.
Can you remind me that we need to
between my
post that
legs.
before we leave?
He said, yes. No, we like the.
You like the snoring? Oh, I can't sleep. I had to
do that,
tell
and she
her.
could sleep in the room.
Nothing was connected, I was a little worried. Yeah, I finally did. It's like, what is the
Her
deal?
whole body hurt.
Okay, so trees. Brad's like, short and sweet, maybe a little longer.
Really. She said they just flip her over. That
You
wakes her
probably
up.
take her legs and flip.
Maybe briefly, but she.
Yeah.
Yep, it's time.
Not quite there.
We didn't
Scott,
do
I'm in
that
it.
one either. Yes, ma'am, I'm gonna start.
No, it's 5:59. It's set for 6 o'clock. And I hope it does what it's supposed to do.
I went once. This is the second time this year.
I never
Just sitting here.
It was to upgrade.
Sit down.
You'll smack your elbow.
I'm assuming I didn't get that because I've already done it, right?
I'll take it.
Okay. Well, because he asked me and I'm like, I'm not sure. But I've already done something. I don't know what I've done, but. handed Brad a copy of that ordinance, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, they just either still covered in it, yeah. I've got no clue, but I don't know where I'm at. Cause these aren't perfect. I want these.
Looks like you did.
Yeah.
Like you just smoke
See
it.
you Sunday.
It's my writing. Okay, did I click it? It should be there. Gonna check something. What's my YouTube? Just making sure, Barry, because I'm not positive that it did what it should. I think there's an update that needs to happen.
Did.
Nobody's telling me it's not, but. Okay, it's showing that we are, so. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. You can, would you stand and join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. As I forget where it's Okay, rules for speaking that I don't have sitting in front of me. Hold on just a second.
You want me to get it for you?
They're right here. Or they should be. There's a folder full of them. Nope, there's not. There. Sorry about that. I had kind of some technical issues and my iPad wasn't wanting to connect to start with, and so I was in panic mode. Any resident wishing to address the town council, we're going to ask you to come to the podium, address the chair, and we have asked that you sign in at the back so that we are not giving out names and addresses during the live feed. Any person who is recognized may speak. However, there's no guarantee that you will be recognized. Non-residents who have a particular interest or information to share on a specific issue can also speak with consent of the town council. No person shall speak twice on the same issue except by majority consent of the council. However, any resident who has not spoken on the issue may ask for the floor, and he or she shall be the first to proceed. Debate shall be limited to 2 minutes for each speaker. Total time for debate on any question shall not exceed 10 minutes. No extension of time shall be allowed a speaker to debate a question except by unanimous consent of the council. Once a matter has been a subject of a public hearing, residents will not be allowed to address the council on the matter at a subsequent council meeting. Residents may contact their council representative to make inquiries for information. Our contact information for each of us is available at the town hall. As a matter of courtesy to those around you, cell phones should be placed on vibrate or silent. If a call must be answered, the call should be taken outside of the meeting room. Sidebars and other distracting behavior will not be permitted. Any individual participating in distracting behavior will be asked to leave the meeting room so as not to disturb others. Total open mic time is 20 minutes. Okay, roll call. Barry?
Council President Cindy Ledoux.
Here.
Council Vice President Todd Fry. Councilperson Sandy Vine. Here. Councilperson Sonny State Gordon.
Here.
Councilperson Michael Dice.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the minutes from March 9th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for March 9th.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, approve the financial statements for the month of March.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statement for the month of March. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, approve invoices. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look this weekend.
I make a motion to approve the invoices.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Mary, I do have one and I forgot to send the email. One of them, and it's one of John's, all the amounts and everything are right, but we just, as we looked at it, it looked like the vendor name on either the paper or, I think it was on the paper, is actually, so I'll just send it to you. It's not a big deal. I think it's probably just a quick change. But I meant to email after we left Saturday and we went somewhere else and I forgot. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the bank statements.
I make a motion to approve the bank statements.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Well, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, and then finally, approve the payroll reports and warrants.
I make a motion to approve the payroll reports once.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then we're at the public part. Questions, concerns, remarks from the audience. Don?
I just was curious if there's going to be any update on the construction of the bridge and the transportation down the road at my corner.
John, is that in your report or is that?
It is not part of my report.
Okay. So the bridge is an NDOT project, so we're not always privy to the specific information. And that's really the current status on that. Do you know anything beyond what we've talked about?
I've not talked to any of the NDOT.
I think they're still looking at May at this point, right?
They are making progress. They lost a few days last week due to weather. You know,
Because the original date was what, November?
well.
And it stretched out this far?
Yeah, well, the original date.
It was before that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was earlier than that.
This is the third crew.
Yes.
It seems like it's not a priority to the state of Indiana.
It's not.
There was issues, you know,
Well, they accused it being because of flooding, but that was during the time when we were having a drought.
yeah, no, there was issues with the columns and I think they're on the right track.
Yeah.
Well, I just know that intersection is horrendous for traffic. and cars honking, semis are still taking the street down there, and they're tearing up the road.
You gotta live on it down there.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he lives close
I
enough.
live at that corner where I hear all the noise.
Yeah.
He's close. We
He's,
did it.
I sort of say, you're definitely worse, but he is close. So,
And I know the reason that I hear so much honking is, if you're going south, you have to pull out far enough to be able to see traffic to the left, and so the traffic on 18 thinks you're going to pull out in front of them. So they, of course.
right.
And, you know, some of the local people are turning on North Street to
Right.
avoid a
Right.
lot of
Well, a
that.
lot of people that.
And I've seen that road disintegrate.
Oh, yes.
So the good news is that we need to get with, there is some good news as far as our streets. John has been in communication with the county and what their plan is, because the current thought is NDOT will take care of repaving those areas that have been destroyed. And so I'll let him speak a little bit that we talked last week. John, the county has a plan, right?
They are working on their plan.
Okay.
With, paving crew, and,
Because right now they're just kind of patched.
they did.
There's no sense in paving the whole thing.
Right, and if nothing other than what they have done will be done until the highway is opened back up.
Mhm.
And some of their repairs, they've had to come back and dress up as well.
I feel for those people at Caddy Corner me, because
Right.
their road, their yard is being torn up, the curb is being
Right.
broken, that sign that's posted is always being hit and falling over, so you hear the big
Yeah.
noise, and he tries to come out and stop traffic, which isn't safe. But
Right. Ask John how many times I call him and say, hey, John, I'm headed to school and the sign is down. You guys might want to check that today. So, but, you know, I think John will probably try to tag team with the county so that once everything is done, we do owe a huge thank you to the county highway. David Hicks and his crew have been phenomenal, because when they've come to do the repair in the county, they've just really kind of stepped it up and gone ahead and done ours. And then they will just take care of everything with NDOT, you know, in the end on that. But a huge thanks to them. I mean, there were times I'd see David at a ball game and I'd say, you know, you really are probably my biggest hero right now, because my car was not going to withstand
and
much
the other
more.
place is at 35, where
Right,
they've got the barricade out, so the cars that are trying to come south there have to back up because of cars coming north, because it's only one lane. And that's kind of dangerous because they're backed up on the highway.
And, you know, and even there at 18 and 35, we had, last week, we had tree lawn damage there by the
Yeah.
fire department with by trucks.
Right. It's not an ideal situation, but
Yeah.
you would have
Yep.
thought that it would have been taken care of a lot sooner
so,
because of the amount of traffic that is going through it.
What was wrong with the old bridge?
It was arch support.
It had failed though. It still
well,
had-
do you want, but that's the thing. You definitely want to
Yeah.
repair before it fails. I can't imagine any of us saying, okay, why did they do that? And then, you know,
Well, I'm curious about
So-
the culvert
Yes.
yeah.
on that
Yes.
country road. So,
Both
Okay.
on
Thank you,
90
Don.
and 1,000.
Okay, anybody else from the audience?
Who's in charge of the
Drew?
cleanup day?
Do what?
The cleanup day that's this Friday and Saturday. Do you have a representative? Can she explain just briefly what that is and what details it?
I can.
Loudly,
I have-
so everybody hears.
I have flyers also, I will give you one. It's basically what you would put out for large pickup day, what is not acceptable.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a minute, because our large pickup day, this is always a big issue, because those of you that live right outside, anybody that's living outside of town thinks it should include them. It does not on our large pickup day, because it is our trash contract. This is countywide. So share with your friends.
Yes, absolutely. The dumpsters will be out here. Electronics are not for this day. What we will not,
Electronic address is on there though.
What we will not accept here are batteries, computers, fluorescent tubes, microwaves, monitors, televisions, tires, and sharps. However, those are acceptable if you take them right to the solid waste district in Logansport. And I have some maps that will tell you exactly how to get there, because if you're not familiar, it can be a little difficult to find, but it's great. You just pull right in, put the stuff in a box, right into the building. Tires, you just drive in and you can unload them into the trailer. What will be accepted here: brick, carpet, concrete, insulation, rock, lumber, masonry, metals, pipe and PVC, plastic, porcelain, rigid plastics, and tile. That is, I would say that is not an inclusive list. I mean, you know, big furniture kinds of things, you're cleaning out your house or whatever, bring them here. You will need to be able to unload it. We are not unloading, but we provide the dumpsters, and we'll be here from 9 to 3 on Friday and 9 to noon on Saturday. Did that answer all of your questions?
Yeah, I talked to a guy on the committee for Looking. He basically kind of said, are you planning on having 4 big dumpsters like he thought, or is that not accurate?
I was thinking 6, but at least 4.
And then he says watchdog, because after hours on Friday, people can just.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out at the park.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always got stuff.
Unless you're volunteering, Drew.
No, I was asking the question, and town council.
Yeah, that is a concern. Please don't just drop the stuff off and just drop it before the event starts, because I think this is a great opportunity with the county. They're providing these dumpsters, and so I hope that it works out well. I'll have
So,
these up here.
Sonny, at what point are they taking the dumpsters out? The only reason I ask is because there will probably be those that'll just put their stuff out.
I will double check that. There is a meeting on Thursday. That is a great question. I
And I
think
just-
they take them that day for that reason,
Okay.
but I will verify that. I should have asked her that today.
Because I know, we have our small dumpster at the sewage plant that people will drive through and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
throw
Yeah,
stuff
it's a
in.
problem with this one as well, yeah. That's why I encourage people to get your crap out, get your stuff out, and, I mean, if you want to get rid of it, this is a great opportunity.
And please,
I was
again,
surprised.
encourage, this one is everybody, and there is not a limit. Like with the town, it's a 5 limit thing.
That's
You
not.
know, this,
Yeah.
there is not a limit.
No glass of any sort?
Well, you can do the porcelain and things, so.
So they're sharp.
And glass goes in our regular dumpster,
Yeah.
so, or in the
Doesn't
regular
say one there,
recycling,
yeah.
so. Anyway,
Well, not glass windows, so you don't recycle.
oh yeah, no, and it doesn't mention that anywhere. That'd be another question for you.
Yes, it will.
Okay, all right, anybody else? Yes, sir.
Did
you sign in?
I did not.
Okay, can you do that before you leave, just so we have, just
Yeah.
before you leave?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I happen to know the basic information because I know her, but.
Yeah, we had a water line bust at our house. We found out, they let us know 5 days after the bust. It was in my back barn, so I wasn't aware of it. And now our water bill racked up to, we owe,
Altogether, between the 2 months, it was like $1,500, and we paid last month around $500, and we still owe about $1,000. So we're just looking to get help on getting that bill down.
not paying in such big increments also.
Yeah, if we could do like a payment plan or something for that.
That would be my
Okay.
office, and contact my staff tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll definitely do that. Now, I have a question. Did you pay for a plumber to determine you?
Yes.
Okay, bring that, well, they'll tell you everything that needs to be done.
Yeah, I brought that receipt to the town hall already, and she gave me like a $50 credit towards the $1,500.
I'll be your
Okay.
Okay, so Barry, do we have, because I know we've talked about, Corinne and I talked, and I told her, I said, I really don't know where we are on any of that, because I know Casey and Brad were working on water, wastewater ordinance, and I don't think we've ever gotten that. Do we have any kind of options to help them?
Well, there are external options like the trustee, and some others that the staff will tell you if you need assistance. And I'll personally look into yours. It sounds like you've done an issue, but the best thing you can do is bring that plumber's invoice.
Okay. And where's your office?
Oh, I'm not telling you. You know where the police department is?
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
He's in town hall.
Oh, okay.
He's the clerk treasurer in town hall.
Okay.
So I know, and I don't know where we are with that, Brad. Do you know?
I'm switching my email right now. I can tell you a few things.
Because I know one of the things we talked about at one time, Barry, was if we knew it wasn't using the sewage side or things, being able to do a partial, like a monthly or a 3-month average or something, but I'm not sure where we are on.
That's typically what we do 3 months before the
Okay. All right. So she just needs to come in and see you.
And I have one more question on that. So they let us know 5 days after. Is there something on our water lines?
We heard something about the alarm. Is that a thing? Like that an alarm, there's
I don't
supposed to.
understand the question.
It took them 5 days to find out that my water line was busted since I hadn't figured it out myself. I was just wondering if there's any type of system that tells you guys that I'm using way too much water to
Well,
begin
we
with.
run on request or need data loggers.
Okay.
And they show, so let's say the last 3 months were here, and that's up there, that's a sensor.
That's why you talk about. I'm following you now. Thanks, sir.
I wouldn't mind on wastewater, and I know, you may have just talked about it, he may never have sent anything. So I'll message Casey and ask, because I know we've talked about it a few times. Several times. I mean, Casey and I have talked, so. Okay, anybody else from the audience? Because Barry's gonna tell me my 20 minutes is about up. Okay, all right, updates and reports, John.
In addition to the daily test of the wastewater treatment, water treatment, work orders and locates, the following was also done. Turn-offs was on the 3rd, meters was read on the 9th, water samples was taken on the 2nd, worked with the wastewater treatment plant the 4th, and the 5th, and the 12th, worked in the shop from the 9th, the 10th, and the 25th. Had some work to do at the old town hall. That was done on the 16th, the 23rd, 27th, the 30th through the 2nd. Picked up yard waste the 10th, 17th, 24th through the 26th.
Okay.
And then the quotes on the trees, I don't know if you want to do that.
I have them down under new business. I
Okay.
wrote them in down there, so we'll just do that there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, planning and development. Mike?
Brad, have we heard anything on the legal department on the property? What was that property?
It's the one you told me about, and yeah.
No, not Sycamore, the other one.
Oh,
The other property is in.
Ward.
Yeah, I think you call it kind of phase 1. So if you remember in Sycamore, we had the complaint that was issued and sent out certified. I think the certified mailing has come back, but I have to check my office to see if it has it or not. We sent it out personally, and I don't know if it's come back yet or not on that property.
The Ward property with this.
That's the property I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is there a third property?
No, just the two, the one on Sycamore and the Ward property.
and Sycamore, you sent me an email, but I did not forward that to anybody.
Okay, Sycamore, basically what happened there is we discovered that we had talked to the prior property owner. He had said, well, I sold this property to someone else, but it wasn't recorded. And we had a conversation, well, it's still his problem. Well, that lady just told him to keep the property, and then he did sell the property, and it has been recorded. And I have the name and number of the person who now owns the property. I think it's a gentleman who lives maybe in Peru.
You told me Kokomo, I think.
Could be Kokomo.
Yeah.
And he runs a construction business, and he's very interested and motivated to get in and get things cleaned up. He was talking about securing permits to make sure you get on the property and demo it. That was probably 2 weeks ago, so I have not heard anything since then. I know
I did reach out
You
to.
did reach out to me, but.
Yeah, and then I talked to Jim, and there were no permits needed for him to continue tearing down.
Correct.
It was when he got ready to build, and I did talk to him and told him that. Talking to Bobby, who is the one that had, was concerned because it's his property right there, he noted that he thought that more of the building had fallen, but as we talked, that the guy had planned on coming in that Easter weekend. He said maybe it's actually that he came in and knocked a little more down. And so I think he actually has been in and done some work.
That's all I got.
So, okay. Yep.
Yep, I talked to that owner of that new property, so the walls that has came down is from him, so he's been hauling out several loads.
Yeah, so that's what Bobby and I kind of, with the timing, we kind of thought maybe Bobby just hadn't seen him. He thought more had fallen, but so the guy is definitely on top of it.
yeah, it's a Mr. Baxter. He does live in Kokomo, and he was very motivated to,
Oh, I left it off.
George
Thank you.
Baxter, and he was very
Oh, I skipped it. I'm sorry.
So.
I thought I'd read. Randy, I owe you a huge apology. I skipped right over. I had my fingers on top of. I really did have my fingers right on top of. I skipped the Marshall
I
report.
was in there.
Sorry.
That's okay. You've got the reports. Sorry, it was kind of quick notice for me. I spent a lot of time the last couple of days on it, so hopefully it's everything you need.
Okay, do I have? I don't have that. I'll get it, I'll grab it later. I'll look at it later, it's fine. Okay, anything particular you need us to? Okay, I do apologize, I did not mean to skip you.
Well, that's not.
Got planning, public safety.
I am Thomas Keller. I go by Tom. I am a member of the town of Galveston's Public Safety Board. And we met on March 12th and March 27th. We elected officers. We set regular meeting dates of the fourth Thursday of each month at 6:30. And we began working on tasks.
Okay.
I relayed this to Grist, okay? We need minutes for your meetings. That's
Right.
required by the state. Bring it to my office.
Yeah, understand. I'm working on it. I'll just have to get all of them to sign it. Our next meeting is this Thursday, so we'll get those signed and I'll get those to you Friday.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Barry, because I was going to ask you, because everybody keeps talking about a notebook. Is that what they do? Do your groups just put them in like
It's a special
3-ring binder, or you have something?
Yeah.
Okay, you have something then.
They ain't cheap,
Okay,
so you better do a good job.
okay. So we have talked about that need. They met with Brad last week, so they kind of have an idea on that. And BZA, I think they're here. ADA, I don't have anything.
Excuse me,
Oh, sorry.
ma'am. He asked me where the meetings are held.
Oh.
We've been meeting at the Old Town Hall.
This one is posted to be here.
Yeah.
And I took it
So-
to your office on my way here tonight, so posted it.
So we have met in 2 locations, and when it's posted, it'll tell you if it's either going to be here or at the Old Town Hall.
It will be here Thursday at 6:30.
He said 6:30.
Yep, 6:30.
6:30.
Okay. Aviation, we don't have a report. I am going to back up. I knew Marcia wasn't here. Parks and Recreation, just a quick, they're kind of in between. But just to remind everybody, they are playing disc golf on the first 9 holes if you happen to be a disc golf player. It's exciting to hear people talk about it. I've already lost some of my whatever they call them because they all have certain names. So it is officially being dedicated on April 25th. Please give them a little bit of grace. They don't have all the signage and things they want, but those 9 holes are ready to play and people are playing them. So public event on April 25th where there's going to be some vendor booths and things out here. We are working very hard. I think sometime this week we will have the approval. We decided we had a two piece of equipment project that we were trying to propose. We discovered, we don't have a lot of businesses around here, as everybody knows, so we didn't have any big sponsors. And the way it was to be able to get any of the matching grant funds from the groups that do that, we had to raise the first part of what we were doing unless we broke it down. We met a couple of weeks ago and decided to take that into a smaller project, and we're going to break it into 2 phases. The first phase is going to be the piece of equipment for 2 to 5-year-olds, and I think if all goes well, by the day, at least by the day of the event, we will have a way that you can make donations and they will be matched. The little downfall to that is it's almost set up like a GoFundMe, which I tend to say I'm not going to do that. You don't have to give online. We can take offline contributions, but they are still going to charge us 5% of whatever we contribute because that pays their staff. Then there's a government entity that will match whatever we've collected at 100%. So we kind of chuckled. We pay 5%, but we get back 100%. So it really is a good deal. Our goal on the town side is going to be $30,000. Part of that, with this children's thing that we've done, where it's been, let's try to get the kids to, to get involved and do some of the collecting, that will have been deposited in the 30 days prior to this becoming live. And those funds can be used and be matched. So we're working hard. It's just been slower than we think, but we're a small entity. So watch for that once we have it out there and help us get this done. The other thing, if you happen to come out to the park, I got word today. I love how people let us know. Got pictures that said, hey, this isn't working. The We Go Round is stuck again. I just shot off a quick text message with the message I got to Play Pros, and that's what I was looking at a minute ago on my watch. They will have somebody here tomorrow morning to look at it and see what's going on. So they have been very receptive. We've had a couple of problems with it, so we've been very pleased with them. But just if anybody says, hey, it's not working, we are aware. But if you find that it's not, reach out to one of us and let us know so we can get a hold of them. Okay, new business. DLZ invoice.
I make a motion to approve the DLZ invoice, to pay the DLZ invoice for CCMG $2,134.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? This is part of the project that is currently going on. And they've just broken their fees down so that as things happen, I know, Michael, you've asked that, why do we see those in parts? But they can't bill until certain phases get done. And so that's what this is. It's part of this project that was part of the grant. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, resolution 2026-01. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget, be it ordained by the town of Galveston, Cass County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified subject to laws governing the same. It's being moved from lit public safety to capital outlays in the amount of $70,000, which we have said covers 5 years body cams, do we know were those ordered?
I don't think they've been ordered yet. I gotta reach out to you today to set up some training. Do you know, did you get anything on the order?
Because I know that public safety was talking about doing a little bit of adjusting of the numbers at some recommendations. So if they have not been ordered, talk to them about what their discussion was.
Who would that be?
It's Tom, Andy, Grist, and Cayenne.
I misunderstood.
Yep. I mean, this will be more than the amount if that change happens, but that would come from them. So,
There's sufficient money.
Yeah.
Just putting it in.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So additional appropriation, 2026-01.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2026-01, funding an additional appropriation for body cams.
I have a motion. Second.
I second the motion.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
I would like to wait and see what the safety board wants to do with a better number.
Well, and I may be wrong, but if they lessen the number of cameras, appropriating the amount at this will not be an issue, right?
It's gonna go into a bucket that can be used for the whole year, okay? Including the cameras, including anything else that would go. I'm just throwing this out, guns, vehicle, equipment, those type of things, capital purchases. So putting it in there doesn't hurt, okay? And it's not taking any money, actual money, it's just a classification. Is that good?
And so it would still, that was the reason I had asked, it would still allow that change to be made that they're discussing. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, revised trash ordinance, this needs signed in me a minute. Or I won't sign it. And then we'll be looking for it in the end. There. Okay, ordinance 2026-03 is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2013-07 entitled an ordinance amending the rates and charges for trash solid waste removal charged by the town of Galveston, Indiana. Whereas the town of Galveston provides for the collection and disposal of solid waste and trash for the protection of public health, safety, and welfare, and whereas the town has previously adopted ordinance number 2013-07 entitled an ordinance amending the rates and charges for trash solid waste removal charged by the town of Galveston, establishing fees for solid waste collection services, and whereas the town has also adopted ordinance number 2016-05 regulating trash totes provided under the town's trash removal contract, and whereas the town council finds that timely payment of solid waste fees is necessary to ensure the continued provision of services and to fairly allocate costs among all residents receiving such services. And whereas the town council finds that delinquent accounts create administrative burden and increase costs to the town and its taxpayers. Now therefore be it ordained by the town council of the town of Galveston, Indiana, that ordinance number 2013-07 is hereby amended to include the following additional section. Collection of delinquent solid waste fees. Lien established. All rates, fees, charges, penalties, and administrative costs associated with the collection and disposal of solid waste and trash shall constitute a lien against the property served. Such lien shall be attached to the property at the time the fees or charges become delinquent. Certification to the county auditor. The town clerk treasurer is authorized to certify to the Cass County auditor, any delinquent solid waste fees, together with any penalties, interest, or administrative costs lawfully imposed. Upon certification, the delinquent amounts shall be placed upon the tax duplicate and collected in the same manner as property taxes in accordance with Indiana law. Notice of delinquency. Prior to certification to the county auditor, the town shall provide written notice to the property owner of the record stating the amount of the delinquent solid waste fees, the date by which payment must be made to avoid certification to the tax duplicate, and that failure to pay the delinquent amount may result in the amount being placed on the property tax duplicate. Notice may be provided by first-class mail to the last known address of the property owner as reflected in town records. Administrative fee. The town may assess an administrative fee to cover the cost associated with processing delinquent accounts and certification to the tax duplicate in an amount established by resolution of the town council. Cumulative remedies. The remedies provided in this ordinance are cumulative and shall not prevent the town from pursuing any other lawful means of collection, including small claims, actions, collection agencies, or other remedies permitted by law. All other provisions of ordinance number 2013-07 shall remain in full force and effect. This ordinance shall be in force and effect after its adoption by the town council of Galveston, Indiana. And this would be considered our first reading, so I shouldn't have actually just signed it. Okay. Need a motion to approve the first reading. Is it a motion? We do this every time.
I make a motion that we approve the first reading of the revised trash ordinance 2026-03.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, talking to Diane on Friday, this was not on the original agenda, but she is concerned with our police cars being parked in front of the building, and I guess really just a general discussion. She asked about putting gravel where currently Galton Sons is parking their equipment. I know John and I and Sonny, when we talked to whoever did the driveway a few years ago, that was not recommended because of runoff and it affecting the properties near there. But there is that pad that's right there beside it that a vehicle could park in. Once Galton Son is gone, is there a problem with parking in the yard if it's not muddy? As far as like the police officers or the town workers or whatever. I know Diana's just concerned that if we have police officers working, they have their personal cars there, the police cars are there, we need to address, is there room for community to come up and pay bills and things? So maybe just even something to bring back next month of any solutions, because I hadn't even had a chance to talk to John on that.
Well, I suppose, since we're gonna have a street project, maybe that would be a place where they can dispose of some of their mills.
But is that something that would end up affecting the property next to it? Because that was one of the things. It was suggested to us that we not put anything there.
Anything is possible, yes.
Yeah.
If you look at the back of the building, and I'm surprised nobody's brought this up, you've got guttering that is falling off. And, that should probably be addressed at some point as well. Okay. And then there was also corrugated pipe that, took the water out towards Griffith Street. But again, with redoing Griffith Street, I'd like to keep as much water off of it as we can because, water is an evil enemy.
Right, and I can't think who it was that we had do the drive, but that was their thing, is that grassy area was definitely the best bet at that end of the building just because it did some of the absorption and things.
It did.
So, I told Diane, I said, I'm pretty sure that gravel is out, but obviously that's not strictly my call. I just remembered from the discussions that we had had before.
Then we can have a meter pit there that would be
Yeah.
over as well.
So, anyway, Something to think about. Anybody has any solutions, bring it back.
Rain barrel on the corner of the building, for me to water the plants, it should not be driven.
Well, there you go.
Take care of several situations, that's
Yeah,
it.
there you go. Sunny in a rain barrel. Okay, I know one of the things that has been being discussed is it is time for golf cart registration. Again, Diane had called me and said, hey, what are we doing? And my answer was, nothing yet. Take names, we'll call them once we have a plan, because that really is going to have to be something that's looked at. Probably, I know Safety Board is looking at who has what role right now as things are being done. But my big concern, and Brad, I brought copies, or had them bring copies of the ordinance. One of the things that has been done in the last couple of years is we completely waived any fees because the police department cannot collect fees themselves. I'm not sure from the way the ordinance is written, since it very clearly says there's specific fees, that we really should have been doing that, even for that particular day. So I had them bring the ordinance. We obviously can't act on this, but just wanted to kind of fill you in on what I was thinking and why we need to look at it. They're supposed to be done by May 15th. That may have to kind of just be hey, police department, give some grace here while we're trying to figure it out, because I'm going to ask Brad to take a look at the ordinance. I know it's not one that he would have written.
Is there more than one page?
The actual ordinance that collects funds is just that page.
Okay.
And so I know even when we first took office, we questioned, and I remember a long discussion of, do you pay a registration fee one time? Because it doesn't say that. The way it's worded, it makes it sound like you really are paying $40 each year, $25 of one's an inspection, one's a registration. I can't remember which is which. But if you could take a look at that, and then if we can address it, but if you can ask the police to just kind of, put things on hold. I told Diane, if anybody calls the office, just to say, council is looking at it, because we need to make sure that the ordinance makes sense, and this is the perfect time to do that. Because this is definitely, probably will involve you guys at some point in how we do it, but the ordinance is going to be ours. Okay, so we can't take any actions tonight. I just asked Barry this week. I actually just emailed him and asked him to bring it. Okay, so I'll move that to old business. John has a couple of bids on some trees, and I'll let him, while I'm opening them, explain what these are.
Okay, you have two quotes. The one is, or the first one, the first two will be, there's a tall sycamore tree just east of 35 on North Street. And there's a partial trunk and stump at North Street and Lincoln. So you'll have two quotes on those two items. And
Okay, John, I'm just making sure the rotten, broken trunk one near the street, that's going to be the one that on this one says Jeff, right?
Jeff is from Jeff and Lisa Carver.
Okay.
That's a separate.
That doesn't, I just want to make sure I have the two parts matched completely.
Some of our trees fell on
right.
their properties.
Okay. All right, so we have two bids for the trees. If I was a little braver, I might go into the tree business. The first one is the storm damaged sycamore that is rotten. The first bid is from Timber Pros, and it is in the amount of $5,050. The second one on that same tree is from American Top Tree, which is $3,150. Then the one that would be where our trees fell on the Carver property is cleaning up of the fallen trees by the fence. And this is just a cleanup. They're really already down, right?
They are.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
All right. So the Timber Pros one on that one is $1,950. And the American top tree is $650. I don't think so. I don't think so.
While we're looking at those, I just remembered, if you take tires to Logan Sport, they do not have to be off of the rims.
And the trailer's empty, right?
Yes.
Because I'm gonna call somebody tonight and tell her that.
Sure is, yep.
So,
In preparation for this day.
hey, you still have trucks to repair though in that one. Okay. Do we have any kind of motion or?
I'll make a motion to accept the American top tree on both cleanups, your lowest bid. I'll second the motion.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion?
John, you'll see that the cleanup and everything is acceptable.
Yes, yes.
Okay, motion and a second. No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, old business. The problem with the school bus has been resolved. I did, after talking to Nick shortly after that last meeting, and Brad and I will talk further on this with your guys' authority to go ahead. Nick suggested that we go ahead, obviously, if the school situation got resolved and they're parking in, they've worked with planning to try to do a parking area beside their house. They removed some fencing and things, so it will be moved. But it really became much broader than how do we prevent this from happening the next time? So Nick recommended, and this is where you misunderstood me, Brad, that what we need to do is just a general parking ordinance that covers all town streets that would not allow large vehicles. And Nick said there's probably a way to say non-commercial, or I don't know, because I said a bus technically isn't commercial, I don't think, but there's got to be a terminology that would prevent those being parked on any city street, because they really become an issue anywhere. The bus brought it to our attention. We really were focused on we need to take care of this problem, but then as the two of us talked, it really was we need to take care of this everywhere, because none of us, you guys are a different situation because you're on a city or a state highway, but none of us can afford to have that kind of vehicle parked in front of our homes. It's going to block that traffic. And, Nick still assures me that the initial part of this discussion was she was blinded by headlights and could not see the bus. And I will tell you, I went and did a video. Even though there are reflective markings on the back of that bus, I would have told you that it was more like us having a barricade or something down, because it was strictly around the back emergency exit, and so it just looked like it was a small area. I do appreciate the school being very quick to adjust, and I think they were very happy for a while, but it was, they were receptive in the end and have figured out a way to do it. So with everybody's go ahead, we're going to ask Brad to hopefully go ahead and work on that ordinance. he sent me something so that we would have had it to you before the meeting, and he misunderstood what I wanted, and I said, it's not imperative now. We just need to think about the future, so let's talk about it at the meeting. So, anybody have a problem with him doing that? You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
You have a public comment about that?
Yeah, you can do that.
In my experience, when I was in the Air Force, a guy got off of work on one side of the base, was riding his bicycle around the perimeter road. Every Air Force base has a perimeter road outside and on the inside. It's a large base, so I don't know how fast he could have been going. Probably faster than what you would expect because it was more like a road racing bicycle. He had his head down. There was a disabled vehicle and it wasn't marked. I mean, it had reflective markings because it was a vehicle that worked on the flight line. But he hit that, and at the autopsy, the pathologist said he had a helmet on, or he didn't have a helmet on, but it wouldn't have mattered if he did.
Yeah.
Because the vehicle doesn't move, so we aren't expecting someone to necessarily be driving or riding a bicycle that fast, but it could happen with a motorcycle or a bicycle. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it was a different situation altogether that we realized there was an issue, and it just kind of grew that, we need to address the big picture, not just the little picture that we originally had. So, Brad will work on that. And
So do you have an agreement of some sort on the bus sitting there?
at this point, no, I'm just glad it's moved.
Yeah.
Do what? Oh, it was? Well, then again, we do need, when I've gone by, there's been one time since he initially moved it. When I've gone by, it's been beside the house somewhere. But then this will take care of that because it will come back and say,
1 o'clock it was sitting
okay, so he, between runs, ended up just pulling up in front of the house. So if we get an ordinance going, then it'll take care of the problem. But in the meantime, he needs to not park there.
Why can't he just leave it at school? I mean, what's the big deal?
I really.
That's a Lewis Cass school bus, isn't it?
It is.
Well, why can't he just drive himself to work and drive himself home? I get it.
I had this discussion. Remember, I work for the school.
No, I don't.
So, I don't have a good answer.
Okay.
I do know that the school board is supportive of it not being parked in front of his house.
Okay.
That became a very quick message. They met, unfortunately, they didn't meet before we met the last time. They met right after. But they are very supportive of it not being parked in front of the house. So, and again, I appreciate the school. That one becomes a very complicated situation because I'm sitting there talking to a superintendent saying, I'm not your school employee at this moment. I'm a representative of the town of Galveston, and here is how this is. And I'm not changing the way this is. It's not negotiable. So, all right, questions, concerns, or remarks from the audience? Yep.
Cindy, back with that revised trash ordinance, I was confused. How can someone become delinquent on fees if they're paying their bills?
I'll let Barry explain because this came directly from a problem that Barry is dealing with.
Not everybody adheres to that.
Well, then they would be also delinquent in water.
If they have water. And this, some of them don't use the utilities, they just use trash. They have a well.
A well and septic then, obviously.
So like on the other side of 18.
Yeah.
See, my house is Galveston Heights, and that was an addition into Galveston. So those houses have wells. I mean,
Okay.
Young's have a well in there.
Right. And I know there's a few down through there that do. So I really didn't know. I know Barry was asking questions and was like, I don't truly understand, but I know there's obviously a need. So that would be it. They're not paying other utilities.
That's why I was confused.
So is there a reason we can't just suspend? Well, we talked about that. Because, we did talk about that. And that we don't want the trash just building up.
Yeah, his name is, no, I'm not going with that.
Okay.
I've been working with.
Yeah, who you had? So I just didn't know whether they just were opting to not pay that part or, I'm refusing. Because we have some people right now with the people that are concerned with trash pickup. It's what if I go contract my own? And my answer to them is, sorry, we've already contracted for you and you're going to pay that bill because we have signed that contract and that's part of what we do. And I have news, as much as it appears we pay for trash, we're still paying less than they're paying on their contracts. And so if they want to go contract trash, good luck finding it for what we're paying. We are right at that $15, by the way, with the contract at this point. But Mike.
My name is Michael Clare. I live over on South Sycamore Street. I've been quiet long enough. Say 7-8 days ago on Friday, I was contacted by the state police. With this man right here, Randy Van Neven, Nick Boyer, for their conduct. Mr. Dean, be aware. I'm sure he is aware of the state police, their investigation. So I want everybody to know I'm Michael Clare. Now you guys know the name to the face. And just letting everybody know. Thank you.
What are you letting us know? What are you letting us know?
Okay. Just the name to the face, that's all.
How does that relate? I need to record this. How does that relate
I'm not
to the
arguing
state?
with you, Barry.
How does
I'm
that?
done with my side.
Barry, we'll talk about it later, just to make life easier. Any other comments from the audience? Drew?
There was talk a few months ago about possibly rejoining the county planning. Is there any update on that?
There actually is, and I'm glad you asked because I forwarded an email to them, but should have added it to my list of things today. But it was just easier to forward Aaron's full explanation on everything. A couple of months ago, Barry sent me an email. There was a change in state law on some of the planning things. Our original goal had been we would have dealt with the final joining of planning at this particular meeting. And the state law changes meant she needed to go back and rewrite several of the things that are currently in place for the county. And so she asked that we hold off just a little bit so she didn't ask us to join and then immediately have to revise everything for us. So right now she thinks the final proposal will come to us in June. But that way she will have the revisions made that meet the new state laws. But thank you for asking. Because I had asked her just so I could do an update, and then it was just easier to say, there's a lot here, read the email, but then I had meant to do a basic update of just the date. Anything else, Don?
Yes, I saw advertised that the town was trying to start up a Lions Club again.
They have information.
Because I was a member of the Galveston Lions Club way back when we were meeting at the old Methodist church that burned.
Okay.
And
you have the information at Town Hall, don't you, Barry?
There are handouts.
So just stop in and pick one up. They came to one of our council meetings and
who are the organizers?
They were somebody from the Kokomo area. I don't remember the names, but I know there was concern about what does this do to Young America. And I did reach out to Gary and Dee, happened to see him at a ball game and said, hey, we have a guy. And they actually were like, we
used to have it.
Yeah, and that was their thing. They would be very open to even trying to help these guys get this going again. They did not see that as a threat to their organization. So they have the papers for the Lions Club at Old Town Hall, or at Town Hall, not Old Town Hall. By the way, quickly, Old Town Hall. If you happen to be going to a planning or aviation meeting, They are meeting still at Old Town Hall, but there is a new entry location. You're going to enter at the archery doors because we are very excited that Vintage and More, is that the name? Vintage and More took official possession the 1st of April. And so they are in working. And so the front doors will be locked, but entry, we've kind of reserved a small room back there since those meetings are pretty small. And if you enter at that area, there will be a room just to the right where they're going to have their meetings. So we're excited. Little things happening.
Eric Schumann is one of the gentlemen that I spoke with from the Lions Club. There was another gentleman here with him, but I do not have his name.
He might have been from the state organization, wasn't he? So, okay, anybody else from the audience? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.